Good day. Today we are going to present on our assignment on research methodology entitled Role of Management Accounting Change in the Transformation of the Malaysian Public Sector. First and foremost, I would like to introduce my group members, which is the first one is Siti Hajar binti Taha, who will be presenting on the introduction and summary. Next is Bertni binti Robert, who will be presenting on research method. And me myself, Ariana Ellis Dunson, who will be presenting on the research design. Next is Tasia Johnny, who will be presenting on the research participants, population, sample and sampling method. And lastly is Michelle Quinta, who will be presenting on the data analysis.
Hello everyone, my name is Siti Hajar binti Taha. My part is introduction. First, I want to introduce about the management accounting. Management accounting will provide the information to private and public sector for management decision. That means management accounting closely involved in supporting, planning, controlling, directing, communicating and coordinating the organization. In addition, management accounting also lead business strategy agenda and make strategic plan for future of the business, and the main focus of management accounting has always been to improve the organization performance and profitability by providing relevant information for the manager. This research explores the role management accounting change in the transformation of the Malaysian public sector for the public service delivery. The interaction between the management accounting change in public sector that consists of a dialogue where both share similar experience and where multiple truths were investigated. The purpose of this research was to understand the satisfaction by professional management accounting in public sector delivery service. Besides that, this chapter also presents the description of the research process. That means researcher will provide information about the method that was used in doing this research, as well as a justification for the use of this method. Besides that, this chapter also describes the various stages of research, which include the element, method, selection of participant, and the data collection process and the process of the data analysis.
Next is research method. Research method, according to Sian Bowl and Tiramisu 2013, the methods that usually adopted by previous researchers in collecting data are direct interviews, observation, and the use of questionnaire. Research method can assist the researcher collect samples, data, and find a solution to a problem, as well as aim at finding solution to a research problem. As stated by Holden and Lynch 2004, prior to conducting a research or report, there are three questions to be answered, which is why, what, and how to research. In the introduction chapter of the analysis, what for the study can be answered. In addition, due to a certain scientific and practical problem that have been discussed before, the purpose for this research arises. The purpose of this chapter is to address the why question briefly and then proceed to the more deeply discussed question. Although it is not necessary to delve too deeply into the physiology of science in this review, it is worth a brief discussion. A research method can be either quantitative or qualitative or even both. Quantitative research is based on measuring quantities. Meanwhile, qualitative research is the method. It is descriptive, non-numeric, uses terminology, and applies logic. It is difficult for most postgraduate research students to get their heads around some of the theoretical concepts and problems they come across when they launch their first journey. These principles and problems include ontology and epistemology. Ontology is the study of being and is concerned with what is, the essence of reality lives, and structure as such, or what can be said about the universe. Ontology is the observation we make about the form and existence of truth and what exists, according to Research 2003. Ontology is also described by Snape and Spencer as the essence of the universe and what we can know about it. Meanwhile, in general, epistemology is the observation that we make about the form or existence of knowledge, or how to find out about the universe. In this paper, we use a quantitative approach which relies on the collection and analysis of numerical data to describe, explain, predict or control variables and phenomena of interest. By collecting quantifiable data and conducting statistical, mathematical, or computational techniques, quantitative research uses as a systematic investigation of phenomena. Quantitative research can use as screening techniques to gather information from current and prospective customers and send out web surveys, online surveys, and questionnaire. The questionnaire-based survey approach to analyze the role of accounting management practices in the Malaysian public sector has been adopted for the purpose of this study.
Next is research design. Research design is a framework that assists researchers in the process of collecting, evaluating, and interpreting the results, or is the blueprint that assists researchers to find a solution to the problem. Research design deals with a logical problem and not a logistical problem. In order to determine the research design, research problem is the main indicator, and the design phase of the study determines which tools are to be used and how they are used. For our research study, we employ descriptive research design to agree on the role of management accounting change in the transformation of the Malaysian public sector public service delivery. The descriptive research, according to Saunders 2009, it portrays an accurate profile of persons, events, or situations. This design offers researchers a profile of descriptive, relevant aspects of the phenomena of interest from an individual, organizational, and industry-oriented perspective. It also enables researchers to gather data from a wide range of respondents.
Next part is research participants. The research participants for this study are management accountants that works in the public sector. It is because they experience the changes in the roles and they may know well the impact of the changes on the transformation of the Malaysian public sector public service delivery. These participants are also chosen because of the knowledge on financial related skills and also how the public sector works. During the period of this study, 150 questionnaires were distributed among the management accountants in public sector organizations to assess information regarding the topic of the study. Moving forward to research population, according to Sekaran and Bugi 2013, population refers to the entire group of people, events or things of interest for which the researchers want to make inferences. The population of study for this research work includes all chartered accountants attached in public sector organization. The reason of selecting all the chartered accountants are to examine the changes of roles in the management accountant and how the changes impact on the transformation of the Malaysian public sector public service delivery. Next is research sample. Sampling is the process of selecting the right people in as representatives of the entire population. The sample size is adequate for the required level of precision and confidence. Even the most sophisticated sampling design will be useful to meet the objectives. Hence, There is a sample size that can be determined based on the rules of thumb proposed by Roscoe 1975. The first one is sample size more than 30 and less than 500 are appropriate. Second, in multivariate analysis, the sample size should be at least 10 times more as large as the number of variables. Moving to sampling technique, there are two types of sampling technique. The first one is probability sampling. Probability sampling is the one in which each sample has the same probability of being chosen. It is held to be the most precise type of sampling, but is largely inappropriate for qualitative research. The purpose of using probability sampling was to randomly select a large of individuals that represent the population, and each individual of the population has an equal of chance being selected. The next sampling technique is stratified sampling. It is the process of segregation followed by random selection of subsets from the stratum. The benefits of stratified sampling is to ensure that subgroups are represented equally within the sample and protects against a bad sample being chosen. Besides that, this stratified sampling needs small sample size that save time, money and effort and has high statistical accuracy as variability within the subgroup was lower.
Moving to data analysis. Data analysis is the most crucial part of any research as it summarizes collected data. It also involves the interpretations of data gathering through the use of analytical and logical reasoning to determine patterns, relationships, or trends. Statistical package for the social sign, or known as SPSS, is the analytical tools that will involve in this research. There are 5 analyses that are used to compute the data collected to answer the proposed research questions. For example, such as factor analysis, reliability analysis, descriptive analysis, correlation analysis, and multiple regression analysis. Firstly, factor analysis. Factor analysis is defined as an interdependent technique whose primary purpose is to define the underlying structure among the variables in the analysis. According to Tabanik and Fidel, the purpose of using factor analysis is to summarize patterns of correlations among observed variables to a smaller number of factors. Palan also mentioned that factor analysis can be used to reduce a large number of related variables to more manageable number. Secondly is reliability analysis. According to Sakaran and Boji, 2013, reliability analysis is a test that is destined for tests of how consistent and stable a measuring instrument or tools. They also state that the reliability of measure indicates the extent to which it is error-free and also ensure the consistent measurements across the various items in the instrument and time. Thirdly, descriptive analysis. Descriptive analysis is used to describe the data that will be used to analyze. For example, the summary statistic for the scale variables and measure of the data. Sakaran and Buji mentioned that this descriptive analysis is included in the diagram of means, standard deviations, and maximum and minimum point. Fourthly is correlation analysis, or also known as Pearson correlation coefficients. It is defined as a dimensionless measure that determines a linear relationship between two variables. Its values varies from -1 when there is a perfect negative linear relations to +1 when there is a perfect positive linear relations. On the other hand, a correlations of 0 indicates no relationships between the two variables. Likewise, the size of the correlations value indicates the accuracy of the predictions in the directions indicated. Lastly, multiple regression analysis. Multiple regression analysis is the appropriate method when the research problem involves a single metric dependent variable presumes to be related to two or more matrix independent variables. There are several assumptions taken from Tapanik and Fidel book, such as outliers, normality, linearity, and homoscedasticity. In addition, they define outliers as those with standardized residual values above 3.3 or less than negative 3.3. Multiple regression is very sensitive to outliers because it can either be deleted from the dataset or given a score that is high for the variable but not too different from the remaining cluster of score. Meanwhile, for normality, linearity, and homoscedasticity refers to various aspects of the distributions of scores and the nature of the underlying relationships between the variables. These assumptions can be checked from the residual scatter plots, which are generated as part of the multiple regression procedures.
Next, for the last part is summary. The aim of this study was to understand the participants based on construction of their reality, thereby illustrating one way in which the concept under investigation are constructed by a group of management accounting in public sector. The researchers have selected target population is chartered management accounting that provide information about the task of management accounting in Malaysia. The researcher will use the quantitative data collected from the survey is analyzed using statistical methods such as interdependence technique. The stage for analyzing interrelationship among the large number of samples. The reason for the choice of using this method of analysis is that this method is preferred rather than other methods because it allows greater interaction as well as for a better understanding of the collected data and context.